Islam. And again, now we remind you, all of this starts with the birth certificate, the marriage license, the driver's license, etc. Social Security card. That's why they put them numbers on it, because the child automatically, when the child is issued, is already in debt about $600,000, as it is of now. Brother Mike, he'll updated me on that.
I was going to ask about when you start the process of issuing disclaimers.
Yes, disclaimers.
And because I got confused about one thing. I know that I could create what's called a birth record for myself.
Yes.
And then send a disclaimer to, who would I send it to? Vital Statistics,
well, look at this.
Department of Commerce?
Vital Statistics have two things. For the general public, what they have, when they have those records, they have what you call a birth record, and then they have a birth certificate. What they will do is issue to you a birth certificate, and they will keep the birth record. What you want is the birth record, and let them keep the birth certificate. They don't tell you that those instruments are there. All right? So the certificate is a bond of a claim. You accept it and you agree. So it's binding contract. The birth record is only the truth of the thing that occurred. Now, the birth record would have your mother and your father's name, the position or the geographical location where you were at the time that the mother gave birth. It would have the time, the doctors and all persons present, etc., etc. That is the information that they will use against you astrologically when they issue suits like tickets, etc. They'll look at the vibratory rate based on when you came in, and they'll deal with you on a down cycle. So yes, that's how that's why they keep the birth record. And they give you the birth certificate, which is really a contractual agreement that you belong to the state. So that gives them an artificial jurisdiction for which to make a claim on you or against you at any time. So they start off by transferring their fiat debt to you. So however far the deficit goes, they will by proportion assign that to every new child born. And so proportionally, that child will be in debt at birth. Then the mother's held to it, to the child is of working age. And then the child, that certificate is used. And then if the mother has a marriage certificate from the corporate state, it's double indemnity. It's not.
Are we able to sue them for all the taxes they took out on us, and for every more with the welfare system? They say that they take about a bond that they put aside for us because they know that of our nationality, and it's Negro, Black, and Colored, a form of ethnic cleansing, the way they did around Bosnia and places like that.
Well, actually, that's what the King Alfred plan is for. Well, it's already in effect. All right. Now, of course, I know most of the scholars here are aware of the King Alfred plan. Who's not aware of the King Alfred plan? See, there's very few not aware of it. Well, the King Alfred plan is the military manual that's it's a military manual. Executive Order 11490. This is the executive order, was authorized in 1969 to counteract the minority, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites in their rise up from under the depression and the powers that be, the government, King Alfred. Now, this booklet contains vital excerpts from the Executive Order 11490, October 19, 1969, the King Alfred Plan, the Rex 84 Plan, concentration camps, Executive Order 11490 expanded, top secret, silent weapons for quiet wars, introductory programming manual, operations research technical manual, TM-SW7905.1. Union States of America Incorporated. The Executive Order number 11490, the Rex 84 Plan, and silent weapons for quiet wars has been in the hands of the popularly accepted individuals calling themselves, quote-unquote, the black leaders since the early 1970s. Many have spoken of them, but few have broken them down and disseminated the information to their alluring public. The King Alfred Plan implicates the true motive and reason as to why they do not. And one will take note that all the people mentioned in these government plans, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, poor whites, do not include a de jure national name or title. All these words are descriptive chattel brands coined by Europeans as substitute pedigree parentage names and were forced as applications or appellations on the indigenous peoples of the Americas and their own discards. All people bearing these labels are referred to as it in these briefs and in these texts. One common thread is evident: no nationality, no equal rights, no human value. Are any of the states assigned black leaders speaking of or educating their people in recourse, redress, remedy, or sovereignty? Do they instruct or do they not? This is the question. Ignorance. Ignorance, dogmatic belief systems, and tunnel vision mark the preferred opiate for the knowledge-fearing masses. King Alfred is the culling tool for the non-productive burden on civilization and the world's resources. So they're going to get rid of niggers. If we don't solve it, they're going to solve it. And they're going to solve it with military action. And since they studied the so-called Jews that claim to be Jews that were not Jews, and they had a lot of ashes, this time they're going to use vaporization techniques with trash to steam plants. That's what they're going to do. So either we fix it or they will.
The welfare system, they will go to that bond to pay.
Now, look at that system. Now, you know that comes from the Christian Black Codes too. I think Article 6, Christian Black Codes, conditional of the child, the condition of the mother, etc., etc. All right, Chip. So now, these Asiatics been transacting business in alien names, right? All right, and they're held by bond to that, am I correct? And it's based in contract, am I correct? Are they Smith, Jones, and Johnson? Contract void. Were they doing these things in their proper self? Were they in their proper mind? Well, contract law says they must have free will, they must have a clear and free conscience, and it must be mutual. Most of the people that are in those systems are there for economic hardship, am I correct? Europeans stole their resources and set up a colorful government in order to regulate their resources, am I correct? By international law, they have an obligation to dispense some of the energies back to the people, am I correct? With no counter obligations, am I correct? They're in violation of international law. However, they do have some jurisdiction due to the fact that these Asiatics are using their names, and they're using that in an argument of abandonment to get over. So that's where your argument should be. You doggone right. I'm just telling you the basis of what the suit should be on. Islam, and then step up. Oh, yeah, he was first. Islam.
I hold a New York driver's license. Islam. I hold a New York driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Bay.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't have the Bay on my driver's license. We talked here.
You don't?
No. We talked here about the fact that when someone sends you a letter in all caps, you should indicate that it's grammatically incorrect.
And the fraud. It's listing you as a corporation.
Okay. So it's apparent to me that the fact that the driver's license I hold appears in all caps, that the person being identified by that document
is a straw man.
Is a straw man, is a corporation. Okay. Is an artificial entity.
Yes.
Now, if I want to represent myself before
you won't.
Any administrative body.
You won't.
As a natural person.
You won't.
Why would I want to have my Bay on
I'm
my
going to
driver's
repeat. You
license? And then it'd be literally.
Well, why would you have the driver's license? Why would you even say, why would I have my Bay on a driver's license? So what are you going to do? You going to argue as a Bay for this straw man?
My notion is, I believe that as a business owner, I can effectively manage the fact that I, as a natural person, control many artificial entities. Mm-hmm. And one of which may be an artificial entity in the name that appears on my driver's license.
That's not your driver's license.
Okay, in the driver's license that I hold, you're right, it's the property of someone else. In any event, I believe that I am able to represent myself as a natural person, the representative of this artificial person that doesn't really exist.
Now what you do, this is what you do. You cannot re-present yourself. When you go before court, I present myself. Now you command they present themselves. Now, what you're doing, you're coming there to respond to the matter concerning the corporation of this state-issued document for commercial travel on the public highways, and you want clarification from this court whether they're talking about transporting on paper or they're talking about the public highways, which are regulated by international law and rights of travel, or they talking about the paperwork of this corporate or New York corporation, and then you want to also produce a copy of the state seal when it was established, private corporation. Now, are you talking about some transaction that took place on some paper, or are you talking about travel, right of travel on the public roads? Because there's two different things. Now, the right of travel has nothing to do with privilege. Now, if you're talking about some instrument that was done that I'm not aware of, where somebody drew something on a line on a piece of paper in this corporation, and then I received some benefit from that, I'm not aware of that. Can you introduce it into evidence? I mean, do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes, I do, and I wasn't aware of that.
But you don't represent yourself. Remember,